Let's make that even smaller. Like, what's the most important information there? If you want to call someone to help you out, you can. If you want to call someone to help you out, you can.
What was important was the leader of the anti-slavery, and he was the presidential candidate in 1844.
Okay. So we just state with the leader of the anti-slavery movement and presidential candidate. I would actually even say that the date wasn't as important that either. Good.
That is the date. I think the date is important.
Why?
Because so we could know like when he was the presidential candidate.
Okay. All right. Then I would let's do that. Now, I want to be very clear. I have one person while Lawrence was speaking who was also speaking at the same time. When we're going through this together, it needs to be absolutely silent. We should be respectful of the one individual who's speaking. So I don't want to have to give that direction again. All right. After we finish reading this, we then go on to the second part, which is identify three words and label plus, minus, or equals. You can tell me what that means. If I say to label plus, minus, or equals, what am I asking you to do? Jawan? Neutral. What was that C word we learned last week? Who remembers? By raising their hand? Yep. Connotation. Connotation. So what's the connotation? Is it positive, negative, or neutral? So are we just going to choose any words when we do this? Let me see a hand. Are we just going to choose any words? Yes. We're going to choose the words that you, well, no, in this situation, you actually don't want to choose words you don't know. You want to choose the most important ones. Like words that you really feel like, help to give you a sense of what the meaning of this paragraph is. So, Stephen, what's one word here that you feel like is important for us to know as we go through this?
Anti-slavery.
All right, anti-slavery. And would you say that that has a positive, negative, or neutral connotation to it?
Positive.
Positive, good. Why would you say that anti-slavery has a positive connotation?
Because like you said that you're not slavery.
Yeah, exactly. They say that you're against it. So that's one word. What's another word we think is important for this paragraph? For this paragraph. Brandy?
The presidential.
Presidential candidate, why do you say that?
Because I say that because we know like when he was trying to be a president, so he could be able to like help free basically all slaves. Because don't everything I come through him in order like the president.
Yeah, so do you think the fact that he was a presidential candidate is as important as, like, why are we even bringing him up? Why was he even brought up?
Because of the schools that in his name, and because he was a leader.
Okay, good. So then so thinking about the fact that he was leader, then he helped to establish these two schools that the buildings of which are still around today. What do you think would be an important word to pull out there?
Huh?
Thinking about the reason why we brought him up is that he helped to establish these two schools, the buildings of which are still around today. What word do you think we would pull out here that's really important?
Leader.
Okay, that he was a leader. He was a leader, but why are we even bringing him up? Because there were many leaders at that time. What's the specific reason we're
Because
bringing
he
him
was
up?
a leader for like, because he probably was like the first slave owner to free his own slave.
And he wasn't the first one, because that's just that wasn't mentioned in here. We're bringing up so we're talking about this guy who is a great leader. He was a leader of the anti-slavery movement. He freed his own slaves. He's a presidential candidate. But why do we choose to mention him
Because he had
in this paragraph? Why does this paragraph choose to mention him?
because there was two schools named after him.
Good. So then, what's a word that we could just pull out there that'd be important? Okay, established. Good. And would we say that that has a positive, negative, or neutral connotation when we think about it? Why would you say positive?
Because like established.
Mm-hmm.
Even if both
Well, explain it to me.
because he established. I mean, a regular would be like, everybody would want to establish having school.
Yep.
I have a school, unfortunately.
it's a good thing to establish a school, you're saying?
Yeah, feel good. Like, still, like, you should be able to feel good that you established something and, like, establish people make it.
Yeah, so if you can establish things that are both negative and positive, then okay, I would go with that. So let's give one more term. One more term that we can pull out. Yes.
I say Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, because that's mostly all the schools.
That's where the
Most schools, all like, I don't know, the schools were.
well, that's where that particular one was, but the other school that they established was well, let's see what we got. It was also on King on Sumner. So okay, would you say that that was positive, negative, or neutral? Positive. Why would you say positive over the other two?
Well, actually, it can be neutral because either way you get it.
Okay, good. So summarize this paragraph. Who can summarize like what we're talking about in this paragraph? If you're going to give it in sort of one sentence. Yep. Speak a little bit. All right. So there were different schools that were named after. And then what, like, if we were going to read this paragraph and we were going to walk away with a single lesson, like, what would we actually want to walk away with? Like, what's an important point? Like, what would the author of this actually wants to walk away with? Like, what lesson, what information? Yep. Yeah, so that might be part of it. There are more than one schools, but what might be something, so like after you leave this building, like you read this paragraph here, we know that this guy Bernie, he established these two schools, we know generally where we are, we know that today there are two schools that are still in them today. Like what after, like we learn this information from this paragraph, we leave this school, like what's an important lesson we walk away with that will like change the way we look at our community or change the way we look at things? Juwan? Speak up. The times have changed. Okay, the times have changed, but have things changed? I look at what. Let's take a moment to think about this a little more. Like what have we learned in here that we can take with us after we leave that will help us look at things differently or give us a deeper understanding of the things we see? Yep.
Like the school we in, like the school we in, it's like especially when this school was kid, but before it was kid, it was something else. It was like
Before it was choices, it was Frederick Douglass Jr. Yep.
So like before third grade, it was G. Grant School.
It was the Birdie School, yep.
So,
And what was the other school that we have today, but before it was, it's like before it was the Birdie School, but today we know it as what? One's Thurgood, the other one is? Excel, good. So now knowing this information, learning that these schools that are here today actually have a lot of history, like what's the lesson that we can walk away with? What helps us look at our community differently with the information we know today?
Where schools that we don't take in.
Yes, so the schools we know today. How do we finish that? Schools we know today. Yep. Well, let's finish this one thing here. Mons?
Our world history, how Anacostia schools we know today are Anacostia history.
Are part of Anacostia history. Schools we know today are part of Anacostia history. Good. And that's what I want you to think about this for this last one. For this last one, I want you to think about really, like, how does this